Hi Kiss Army fans, this is Emily Graziano and this is Kiss Video Diary number 6 or 7. I'm sorry, I forget which one, but the previous one I did was the one with me dancing for the Comfort Zone Challenge, and I am very glad to be here to show my face again because I was so afraid that I wouldn't be able to show my face after that, but I've had such a positive and warm response to that, and I'm very grateful for that because I showed it to my mom. She watched it and she's like, "Oh, you're so cute." And I'm like, "You have to say that, don't you? You would think anything I did was cute, even if I looked horrible." But to have the response from all of you and to say that it was pretty good and that you enjoyed it and you got a good laugh out of it, that means a lot to me, and I just wanted to say thank you for that. But this video is going to be Kiss and My Childhood Part 2, and in this video I really want to talk about two albums that have been a major inaugural part of my childhood. I mentioned them in part 1, but I really didn't elaborate on them, and I thought I'd spend this video elaborating on them a little bit. And the first one is going to be Smashes and Thrashes, and like I said when I was little, I wanted to try to copy Paul Stanley's hand movement there, so like like this or something, or like, no, yeah, like this, like the hands, they gotta be all together. But yeah, my mom, she actually had this on a cassette tape, and she would play it a lot in the garage and work out to it, and she played it in the house a lot, and sadly she does not have the cassette tape anymore because once she got the CD, the cassette either broke or she got rid of it, but I can guarantee we don't have it. Her CD is downstairs, but I didn't feel like digging for it. But yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about the song X and Sex and You Make Me Rock Hard. And knowing the content of them today, my mom is a super cool, freaking awesome mom because she let her 2-3-year-old listen to those two songs. Like, I know there's a video online where Paul talks about the convention, and like 7 and an 8-year-old kid knew those songs. I think I can say I have those kids beat in terms of knowing those songs. So I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, to me, I did not know growing up that X and Sex and Rock Hard were exclusive to Smashes and Thrashes. I just thought, oh, it's a Kiss song. But that seemed to be the trend a lot in the 1980s with compilation albums. There would be 2 new additions to a compilation album. I know on the REO Speedwagon, the Hits album, there were 2 exclusive songs. On a Beach Boys compilation album called Made in the USA, there were 2 newly recorded songs. So that just must have been the trend back in the 80s. So yeah, X and Sex and Rock Hard, I did not know were exclusive. I just would sing along to them, and it was only when I was older that I found out that, oh wait, they were exclusive to this. So I just find that incredibly intriguing. And then it has, I'm not going to go over all these songs on here because I do want to save room for the other album that I want to talk about, but I'll talk about, this is the first time on this album that I heard Tears Are Falling, and when I heard it, I just couldn't believe how cool it sounded. Because my mom didn't really play Asylum growing up, and I'm like, Tears Are Falling, that's such a cool song, like, and I don't know, I picked up on the lyrics very fast. It was very, very easy, and that is today why Tears Are Falling is one of my favorite Kiss songs from the 80s. The sad thing I will say is I Love It Loud with those horrible muted drums. I did not hear the actual version of I Love It Loud until maybe I was like 7 or 8, and I realized how sad the drums were on this version. So I think that's the only low part of this album. Oh, and Beth with Eric Carr singing. My mom made sure that I grew up knowing both versions of Beth. She let me know that it was Peter Criss's song, like this is his signature song, but she said Eric Carr did a recording of it too, and she made sure that I knew what Eric contributed to the band besides his drumming ability. She wanted me to know his voice. She wanted me to know how multi-talented he was as a human being, and I think there's well, I'll say this. I know there's a mixed reaction in terms of him singing Beth, and a lot of people wanted him to do Black Diamond, but he didn't have a choice in singing Beth. And what I think is really awesome is he contacted Peter Criss and told him, that I have to sing Beth for this album, and he made sure that he didn't want to offend Peter Criss, and Peter to this day will say how much of a gentleman he was about that, and that just shows you the type of person that Eric Carr really was. So I think that's incredibly cool. And Strutter, when I was little, I made up a dance to Strutter. Like, I just thought it was very easy to dance to. I would dance to other songs, but it wouldn't be like cohesive. It wouldn't be like a set routine. But I made up a dance to Strutter when I was like 2 or 3, and I would always do it. To my known knowledge, there is no home video of me doing it, but I know I've had some requests from people after I did the comfort zone dancing video for me to do Strutter, but I don't know if I could. I think it would be so embarrassing, but maybe if I get like 100 followers as a thank you, I would do it, but I don't think I'd have to worry about that. It's not really about the followers for me. It's more about talking with you directly in the comments. I think doing the comments for me is more fun than making this video, because making videos is just talking to the camera alone, trying to be animated without anyone in the room. But the comments to me are the best part, so I just love the comments. What else can I talk about on here? I think that's all I wanted to do, but the reason why Smashes and Thrashes is just important to me is because in my childhood, this was really the latest compilation album. I know in 1997 the Greatest Kiss CD came out, but for some reason my mom was attached to her Smashes and Thrashes, and I can't thank her enough for that, because it really introduced me to this lineup of the band. And as a child, I knew who Eric and Bruce were. I knew the 4 guys, our 4 core guys, but it was so important for my mom to make sure who I knew Eric and Bruce were. And I think that's awesome, because a lot of people would just ignore Eric and Bruce's contributions, but my mom didn't. And that to me just proves how much of a real fan of the band she is. So I can't thank her enough. Again, I found this at a disc replay, and again, I can't thank that person enough who got rid of that record, because I freaked out when I found it. I'm like, oh my god, I need to get this. Like, because sometimes if I find something, I'm like, do I want it, do I not? And then I will end up not getting it. And I knew right away this was like a no hesitation thing to get. So, Smashes and Thrashes, my childhood. The X, the Paul hand movement. Wait, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Forever ingrained in my brain, Smashes and Thrashes, my childhood. And secondly, I wanted to really talk about MTV Unplugged. This performance we would watch all the time. Like, my mom had a ton of bootleg tapes that sadly she tossed. Sadly. I mean, could you imagine what was on those bootleg tapes? Some of them she made, some of them she bought. But she recorded this off TV in 1995, and then she got the official tape, and then she got the CD, of course, it's downstairs, and then I got the vinyl. I made sure to get the vinyl because it is such an inaugural part in my childhood, and I'll tell the story. When I first heard it, I didn't believe it was Kiss. I'm like, wait, they're not loud enough. Like, I didn't know the words acoustic or anything like that. And I'm like, but it doesn't sound like Kiss. Like, where are the guitars? I don't like this. And she would play it. And at that point, when you're 2, 3, 4, you don't really have dictation on what's going to be played, especially when there's a limited amount of resources to play things. Like, if you have one CD player, one stereo system, a 4-year-old does not really get to dictate what will be played versus what will not be played. So we would listen to it, and I'd be like, well, I guess the drums are there. And my mom pointed that out. She's like, yeah, the drums, at least they're basically the same. And I'm like, yeah, but it's still weird. But I don't know, I guess it just grew on me because it got played so much. And I remember, I will never forget the first time I watched this, and I visually got to see the setup and like the rock and roll over floor and the mannequins behind and the huge logo behind, and it was just so cool. And then they would play, like Coming Home, Plaster Caster, Going Blind, Do You Love Me, Domino. And some of these songs, I heard them for the first time on this album. Like Coming Home, that was the first time I ever heard Coming Home was on here. And honestly, I think Coming Home sounds better acoustically than it does on Hotter Than Hell. And it's placed on here perfectly. Like, it's a great opener. I've heard Plaster Caster for the first time on here. I did not ever hear that before on the Love Gun album. What else? Nothing to Lose. I heard that for the first time on here too. And then Got to Choose. Got to Choose. I actually think that Unplugged contains the best version of Got to Choose live ever. I think Got to Choose sounds a lot better acoustically than it does in the normal setting when they play, like on a live. And I know I might get flack for that, but I just think that it just sounds amazing unplugged. And then on 2000 Man, when Ace and Peter walk out and everyone freaks out and everything, I remember the first time I saw that, like, I was cheering too. I'm like, yeah, Ace and Peter! And, by this point, I was watching it on a VHS tape, because remember, this was 95, and I was born in 96, so I did not watch this live on TV. That's kind of impossible. But I just remember, like, being so excited that Ace and Peter were there, and I just remember thinking, like, why does Peter not have black hair? Like, that confused me a lot. I'm like, Peter doesn't have black hair. Peter doesn't have black hair. And so for that, that was the thing that I would say a lot when I was little. But when Ace and Peter would walk out, and no matter how many times I see it, I still get really excited because it's like, oh my god, they're back. And when you think about it, this was really, Paul and Gene, they had done little hints of the makeup era at first with the Rise to It video, of course, then with the God Gave Rock and Roll to You video with the intercuts of them in makeup with Ace and Peter. And then this, I think that was like the third major hint, like, yes, people want that reunion. Like, this was almost like a mini test run, and it would be so cool if they could do an acoustic show like that again. And I know they do it on the cruise, but I mean, I don't think anything will ever top this performance in terms of acoustic. I'm not sure about the conventions that went on during this time, but I feel like this was the icing on the cake in terms of, like, those conventions. And I'll talk about this. When they play Rock and Roll All Night with everybody, and Paul during the song will say, I want to hear everybody sing or clap your hands. My sister and I would actually sing along and clap our hands because we thought Paul was talking to us. That's just what we thought. I don't know why, but even today when I hear Paul say, clap your hands, I can't help but think back to that. But yeah, so we have Unplugged, Smashes and Thrashes, and also Revenge, part of my childhood, but Revenge I will save for the upcoming In My Head panel video because I don't want to spoil anything here. I don't want to. I got a request yesterday from Raw Barber. Hey Raw, you're a really cool guy. I'm so glad that you and I talk. Just a little shout out to you. I'm like, he started asking me about Revenge. I'm like, yeah, Revenge is awesome. It's a staple of my childhood. And then he started asking me, so what are your favorite songs? What are your least favorite songs? I'm like, I would love to talk about this with you, but I can't. I can't talk about it with you because I don't want to spoil it for the video. And he's like, oh, I get it. He's like, that's totally cool. And he's like, let's talk about Unplugged instead. So I'm like, maybe I'll just make a video about Unplugged. So yeah, Raw, thanks for that because partially you were the inspiration for this. Also, just a quick shout out to some of my most frequent commenters I adore you guys in no particular order whatsoever. Les Wadley, John B. Good, Darklight, of course, to Brant and Rick. I wouldn't be doing this without you guys. I would not be here without all the lovely commentary and the camaraderie. I really mean it when I say that Kiss fans are the best people in the world, and I would not be here talking, doing silly little videos in my room without any of you. So I really thank you all for that. Because in my childhood, I didn't know anyone else who loved Kiss, especially at school. I was the girl who sat alone a lot of the time. You know, just, I did my work and I went home. I was a great student. Who did my work, but socially very hard at school, and I really never found a place to fit in until the Kiss Army. They're the most embracing people in the entire world, and I wouldn't be here without all of you. So I just want to say thank you for that, and I really hope you enjoyed this one, and I will be back with the next Kiss Diary video. Until then, bye and stay safe. Bye, and thank you for watching.